All right, welcome back to Ox Tools. I'm Tom. So this is tonight's little tool making project here, and what I have here, this is a part off of a microscope, a Nikon microscope. It's a Nikon Optiphot, so it's a metallurgical or biological microscope that can that you can take pictures through a camera with. Okay, so what we have here is this is a objective lens holder here, and this has a little indexing feature, which is kind of cool. And I always like to study these kinds of mechanisms, you know, for use somewhere else. Anyway, the task is I have several of these. I need to take them apart and clean them and, you know, repack them and get them operating real nicely. So anyway, here's the issue here. It's got this straight flat blade screwdriver slot, right? Well, you go, oh, what's the problem? You just stick a screwdriver in there and unscrew it. Well, as you can see, it's pretty easy to booger that up, okay, chowder that up. It's a very narrow groove and it's very shallow, so you really need something that fits it really well. And if you just try a regular little screwdriver, right, what happens is the forces are high, right, on a small area, so it tends to cam out of there and tear up the surface while you're at it. So what I'm going to do is make a custom screwdriver bit that fits this, just, you know, like Bob's your uncle, right? So anyway, that's kind of the job. And like I said, I have several of these to take apart. So the first step here is we got to do a little bit of measuring on this groove and see what we have to work with. So let me drag out some measuring gear and we'll check that out and see what that is. All right, so here's our groove. I've got some measuring gear here. Now, like I said, the problem with this is it's pretty narrow, right? So it's pretty hard to get a good measurement, although you kind of can with the calipers, but that's not really, I mean, it would be fine to, honestly, to make the screwdriver bit based on, you know, caliper dimensions, right? But what if you had to measure that little slot pretty accurately? You know, how would you do that, right? And so that's part of what this is about too, is sure, we can measure this and go to town and make the tool, right? But what if you have a little slot like that and you got to measure it pretty good, right? Well, first we'll measure it with the calipers and kind of understand what the range is, and it's in about 30 thousandths range, a little less than a millimeter. So this is a cool way to do this kind of stuff is with pins, okay? And these are accurately ground pins, and what we can do is we can interrogate the slot, okay, with pins. Actually, maybe I ought to zoom in a little bit, but and figure out what that the width of that slot is. Okay, so we saw like 30 thou there. Let me put my magnifiers on because I'm old and blind. Let's see what we got here. All right, 30 goes. And what's nice is these are 1 mil increments, 1/1000th increments. 31 goes, but I can't, yeah, it's a little bit tight in parts of it. So I'm gonna call 30 thou is gonna be our kind of our target number. Okay. Now the next problem is you know, what is the depth of that groove, right? Well, the dog simple way is stick a scale in there and you can kind of read the increment, right? So what do we got there? Well, it's just shy of a millimeter, okay? This has got 0.5 millimeter increments on it, okay? So, but what if we had to measure that real accurately? How would we do that? Okay, so let me zoom in a little closer and you can see the problem. So, okay, so here's our groove. We want to measure that depth, right? And so, you know, first shot would be calipers, right? But obviously this is way too big. It's not going to go, right? Then you go, oh, well, what about a depth mic, right? Well, this is a depth mic of mine. This is a Lufkin, by the way. It's actually a really nice one. And has a pretty small rod, but obviously not small enough, okay? Then, so the next progression mentally is, oh, what about a blade depth mic? Well, I have one of those too. And there's a blade depth mic, okay? Used to belong to a guy named Rocco. Anyway, as you can see, that blade is a little too thick too. Now, interestingly, on a blade depth micrometer, the spindle doesn't rotate, right? Which is kind of cool. Just a little side information there. So blade depth mic is nice tool to have around, but obviously it's not going to work for that. So what are we going to do? Heck, what else we got left, guys? Well, another way you can do this is we can measure from this surface down with an indicator. So like a test indicator that had a ball on it that was smaller than that groove, which is pretty small, or maybe an indicator tip that has a real fine stylus on the end. So let's go see what I have in indicator styli. All right, so here's my box of indicator styluses, and that one looks promising. Okay, and let's give it a quick measure there. At the tip. Okay, it's too big. It's almost a millimeter, 37 thousandths there. Nothing else on that looks, now this one looks pretty good here. So I used to use this for probing some small features here. It's not bad. I think it's touching. I can't tell for sure if it's touching the bottom. It's got a little point on it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got a little angle on it. Okay, this one's also, it's 35 thousandths too. So we know our groove is 30 or 31, right? So we need something a little smaller than that. So what's up? What are we gonna do? I don't know. That's kind of all the ones I have right handy. So let's think of another way to do that. I have an idea. I think we're going to go over to the milling machine and do it over in the mill, I think. Okay, so we're set up over here on the mill, and so this back surface appears to be parallel with that, and it sort of makes sense too. So it's not out of the question that they are parallel within some limit. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our pins again, and we're going to select one that's a little bit smaller than the groove. That way we know it's going to go to the bottom. Okay, and then we're going to use the mill here as a measuring tool. Now, it's probably not the best. All right. So what I'm going to do is come over to the side here, and I'm going to touch off. Oh yeah, see, this is going to be tricky here. What I really want is a really short pin. This one's kind of buckling in column there. Oh, no, that won't work. Okay, oops. Yeah, there, you probably saw that one where I doinked it there. Yeah, you know what? I need a shorter one is what I need. This one's kind of long here, but let's try it. I'm going to come down and just touch that gently. Okay, I think I got it right there. I'm going to zero my quill readout, which I just did. Come up, and I'm going to get in the groove. And then do this. I'm trying not to block the camera here. All right, looks pretty good. Well, it's about 30 thousandths deep, 29.5 thou, which might make a little bit of sense because the groove would be 30 by 30 square. It's easy to think about. So let me zoom you in a little bit, and you can get a better look at that. All right, let's do that again. All right, see the pin's wiggling there. Okay. Go in the groove. Pretty good. 29.5. Okay. So I'll buy that for a nickel. So that's our depth, about 30 thou deep. So that's one way you can measure something using some tools that you have on hand. All right. All right. So we got our measurements now. All right. So our groove geometry is like that. Okay. So that dimension there. Is this in the frame? Let me scoot over a little bit. Let's do this. All right. I'm drawing it upside down. Okay. So, all right. 030. I'm going to write the numbers right side up. All right, so there's our groove that we have to work with, right? So what are we going to use for our screwdriver bit? Well, what I have is I have some of this, this is a blue tempered spring stock here, or shim stock, some people call it. It's kind of like the banding, you know, pallet banding and whatnot, but this is a thicker version here. Anyway, they sell this in all different widths and thicknesses, and what's nice about it is it's hard. It's very hard, it's very strong, okay? In fact, it's so hard that, all right, a file just barely starts to cut it, okay? So it's that hard, but you can machine it with carbide, okay? And it'll make a great screwdriver bit, okay? So I think that's what we're gonna use there. Now, you know, I could make our screwdriver bit and, you know, hold it with a pair of vice grips and turn those, but that's kind of crude. So what I thought we'd do is we'll put a 1/4-inch hex shank on it, on our screwdriver bit, and then that'll plug into a handle of our choice, okay? So anyway, that's the job, and let's go over to the mill and let's get quacking. Use the square on it to get it square with the world. Make sure I'm not driving out of the frame here. I got a 3-flute carbide end mill, and actually let's do this. We're just going to take a skiz off of the end of that. So this is wider than what we need, so we're going to take a little off of the sides. And what I'm going to do there is I'm just going to come down and I'm just going to touch the side to pick it up. And I'm going to pick it up by sound. I'm nicking it. Yep. All right. 0 the DRO. All right. So let me stop for a sec. The length of this thing is a whisker over a 1/2 inch. I measured it with the calipers off camera. So we're going to make that about a 1/2 inch wide. All right. Here we go. Oh yeah. Okay. Can't resist, right? All right, that looks pretty good. Time for a handle, I think. Yeah. All right. All right, let's see what we got here. That looks pretty good. So you notice that I clamped it in the copper jaws and they act like a gigantic heat sink. So you can see the heat only really made it down to this level here. So our temper and all our hardness is still good. We got a little blob on the side there, but in general the braze joint looks good. So let's give it a try, see how this works. Oop. Put that in I think this had a lock. Yeah, there we go. Locks in both directions. Yep, okay. That works good. So the only thing I don't like about it now is kind of the shape here, so I think I'm gonna dress it up a little bit so that it looks a little better. Maybe I'll taper it back like that, make it look a little more stylish. So let me go do that. Okay, so there's the finished tool there. I just tapered it back so it looks a little bit better. It just looked a little blocky before, and it fits the full width of that. And Bob's your uncle, right? Now I don't want to take this all the way up because there's a a series of ball bearings in here, and there's a series of ball bearings up here that I really don't care to have spilled out right now. So anyway, simple tool, nice hard edges, so it's durable, and Bob's your uncle. Thanks for watching, guys.